encourage, one of the best things about our system here in Texas is that we only serve for 140 days and we have to come back and live under them. We used to do something similar in Washington. They only used to serve about 4 months every year. We maybe need to make some more improvements in getting back to that. The other thing is, I just want to encourage you. Y'all remember me telling the story about the legislative clock, about standing still as a freshman, how that was so disconcerting to me and how I couldn't figure that out. Well, they heard about that story in the Speaker's office. A parliamentarian accosted me one day and said, "We're going to stop that." And they did for the most part. They, on average, we started punctually. If you say 5 minutes, on average, punctual. That was that story right here 2 years ago made a difference. You are making a difference. And the rules, kind of like our homes. We just talk about them, but we don't try to enforce them. And we're inconsistent. It just leads to not just being words. But when we did make an impact, y'all are making an impact. And they do want to be reelected. And so the clock did stand still and did go back in time, but only a couple of times in a large way. So we did make some impact. And I can say, we had a good number of more people fighting for liberty. We need about 50 more. So help others around the state to elect people that have a good conscience, that fear God, and that they understand the role of government. It is a sword, and you don't have. We can allow it to do it. We can allow it to cut our hair if we want, but we're going to look pretty awful.
David, next someone starts questioning this, ask them, why is it that they're always talking about the clock and running out of money for Social Security that people pay into and businesses pay into for years and years, but where is there any talk about the limit or running out of money for welfare, corporate and individual?
Well, we are talking about it more than we used to. I was cautioned when I ran my first race not to talk about corporate welfare. And I told my consultant and my campaign manager, no, this is an issue that I believe passionately. And frankly, I think I've at least heard that General Abbott is opposed to it. And I know Chairman Pauken, or former Commissioner Pauken, is opposed to corporate welfare. So I think we've begun to talk about it. We really need to do something about it now. We just got to really elect people. And the reason why y'all probably hate it as much as I did, having to run every 2 years in one sense. Getting all the flyers, having all the fundraisers. But it's because I vote your money. I sign your checks. And that's why we have representatives elected every 2 years. And so we have an opportunity to throw out people who did support corporate welfare, who supported CPRIT. We do have a lot of freedom left. We just need to use it. We need to get active. Excuse me just a minute over here.
Hi, David.
Y'all going to defer to Art. You handle the questions.
Hi. I have a question about education.
Yes.
I moved here in January out from Ohio to get away from nationalized education, which is called Common Core. And little did I know that Cisco is Common Core's twin sister. And I joined the fight here with parents all across the state. And there is a movement to impeach our State Board of Education Vice Chair Thomas Ratliff. And I was wondering, thank you. need signatures. Can you tell me, since that has to begin in the House, what the procedure is and how many votes are needed, or how many signatures are needed, and would you be willing to bring that up for a vote?
The procedures normally, which we didn't follow, what we're not following right now, that's one of my concerns, with respect to Regent Wallace Hall, is it usually is a resolution that's filed in the House, and then it's debated. I mean, it's referred to committee, and then the committee votes on it. It comes out of the committee, and then the House votes on it, and it needs 76 votes. And then I believe that's the case. You may want to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure it's just a simple majority to impeach someone. And then it would go to the Senate, and they would conduct a trial. I would need more information. I've been following it to some degree with respect to Mr. Ratliff. It does concern me that he's a lobbyist. He's told me, and I'm sure he's told you, that he recuses himself when it comes to those things. But it's pretty difficult when so much of what you're dealing with. Because I actually would like to go to these for textbooks. I still think the SBOE can regulate that. I do think there's more we need to do online. I don't think we need as much brick and mortar anymore. I think where we have a good teacher somewhere, we can help them expand their usefulness and serving another district. I'm studying the issue. I'm not prepared to make a decision on that matter right now. I did read the Attorney General's letter a while ago, or at least a review of it, but I would want to read that as well. I'd be happy to receive it. Thank you. And just with respect to Common Core and C-Scope, if I may just briefly comment on that, because it is a big issue. Basically, the problem is it got all developed in Texas pretty much in private, without many people knowing about it, and the teachers then were told that they can't discuss it because they signed this agreement, but that basically violated state statutes. So they were between a rock and a hard place, and that's been done away with. It's been committed to public domain. But the real issue with respect to Common Core and TEACs or whatever, we need a system of saying that we're going to teach this. You got to start somewhere. But I say that parents and the local school boards ought to be really involved in that process. Amen. And we don't need to be apathetic. We don't need to be just putting it on the superintendent or on the NEA or the Department of Education. Good place to save some money right now in the federal government is just get rid of the Department of Education. There's several more I can get rid of too, but that's not my job, right? So, and I'm sure Congressman Gomer's thinking about that. Another issue, though, is most teachers, I think, because of there's not enough freedom involved, not much interaction with parents, and many times that's the ceiling. That's not the floor. So whatever we choose, that should really be the floor, the bare minimum. We ought to be teaching a whole lot more than that. When I was in school, I had your achievement test, your SAT, your ACT, and that was pretty much it. The real issue was, could you fill out a college application? Could you fill out an employment form without your parents' help? But I think we've got a ways to go there. So I don't think the idea of having, a Common Core is bad. But we just need to determine what it is right here in Texas. And especially it should meet the approbation of parents. And we don't need to be, trying to figure out what sex we are. and those kind of things. We don't need to be, we need to stick with what's clear cut and what's Texas values. Yes.
I want to say thank you for bringing more transparency to the government, for telling us about the clock and the sneaky little things that they do, and using the fire department money for other things, and the retirement of the legislators. But, you know, we've been told by many people in the House and the Senate that they only get $600 a month, but they don't bother to tell us about their nice little retirement they're going to get.
And we also get $140, $150 per day that we're in session.
Well, I'm going to tell you about another little secret. You haven't been there long enough to maybe know this, but there are people in the Texas legislature and in the federal government who are retired, but they're still there. They're drawing their retirement salary, and they're also drawing their regular salary. So they go around the country saying, oh, we only make $170,000 a year, but, you know, they make more than double that. And not only that, their wife continues to draw that, their retirement salary until they.
And I did support a Democrat's bill, I co-authored it, that would do away with that.
They shouldn't be done away with that. They shouldn't retire, but when they retire, they ought to go.
And it goes for our governor too. Go ahead.
David, can we go back to the subject of smart meters for a few moments?
What was that? Go back to what?
Smart meters.
Smart meters.
Smart
Excuse me.
meters.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry about the
No,
talking funny.
no problem. Thank you, Mike.
You and I have talked about this somewhat briefly quite a while back now. Since then, I've learned a few more things relevant to these meters. First of all, we need to recognize that they're being deployed all around the world. We need to understand that they're not meters at all. They are very powerful Wi-Fi computers that are being put on the side of people's homes and businesses. We need to understand that they're a vital part or a vital instrument in the deployment and completion of United Nations Agenda 21. The justification that is being used by the utilities is that it will save them some money. We need to understand that that is untrue, at least in that they will not save anybody any money. We need to also understand that these meters are a really serious health risk. Not to every individual application, but depending on exactly where they're located, they can have really, really hideous health effects. To give you a sense for what I'm saying, there's records of genetic alterations taking place in young women around the world, not just here in America. So we need to recognize that these machines are being put on businesses and homes to monitor the activities